In this week's In-Ear Insights, let's get a little bombastic and say, Katie, we're going to double everyone's non-existent ROI on AI with the most unused, underused feature that literally I've not seen anyone doing. And that is manuals on demand. So a little while ago, in our AI for market, generative AI use cases for marketers course and our mastering prompt engineering for marketers course and things like that, we were having a conversation internally with our team saying, hey, what else can we be doing to market these courses well? And one of the things that occurred to me as I was scrolling around our Thinkific system, which was used, is there's a lot of buttons in here. I don't know what most of them do. And I wonder if I'm missing something. So I commissioned a deep research report in Gemini saying, hey, this is the version of Thinkific we're on. This is the plan we're on. Go and do research on the different ways that expert, course creators market their courses with the features in Thinkific. And it came back with like a 28-page report that we then handed off to Kelsey on our team to say like, hey, go read this report and see, because it contains step-by-step instructions for things that we could be doing in the system to upsell and cross-sell our courses. And so as I was thinking about it, going, wow, we should be doing this more often. And then a friend of mine just got a new phone, a Google Pixel phone, and is not skilled at using Google's all the bells and whistles. But she has a very specific use case. She wants to record concert videos with it. So I said, okay, let's create a manual for just what features of the Pixel phone are best for concerts. Create a step-by-step explanation for a non-technical user on how to get the most out of your phone. And so this gets me thinking across the board with all of the things that we're already paying for. Why aren't more of us creating manuals to say, hey, rather than go buy yet another tool or piece of software, ask one of the great research agents, hey, what are we not using that we should be?
So it sounds like a couple of different things. Like because you're asking the question, what are we not using that we could be? But then there's an instruction manual. Those are kind of two different things. An instruction manual is meant to be that A to Z, here's everything it does, versus what are we specifically not using? And so I feel like those are two different asks. So I guess my first question to you is, doesn't most software come with some kind of an instruction manual or user guide these days? Or is that just, it no longer does that?
It does. There's usually extensive documentation. I misspoke. I should have said manuals on demand specifically for the thing that you want. So yes, there's a big old binder. If you were to print out like the HubSpot CRM documentation, it'd be like a 900-page document. No one's going to read that. But I could use a deep research tool to say, how can I use just this feature more effectively, given here's who Trusted Insights is, here's how our marketing is, here's the other tools we use. How could I use this part of HubSpot better? And instead of getting all 900 pages of the manual, I get a manual of just that thing. And that's where I think, at least for me personally, the opportunity is for stuff that we're already paying for. Like, why pay for yet another tool and complicate the Martech stack even more when there might be a feature that we're already paying for that we just don't even know is there?
I feel like it goes to a couple of things. One, the awareness of what you already have in front of you. And so, we're a smaller company, and so we have a really good handle on all of the tools in our tech stack. So we have the luxury of being able to say, these are the goals that we have for the business. Therefore, how can we use what we already have? Whereas if you're in a more enterprise-sized company or even a mid-sized company where things are a little bit more siloed off, that's where those teams get into well, I need to buy something to solve this problem, even though the guy on the other side of the cubicle has the tech that I need because of the firewall that exists or, is virtual. I can't use it, so I have to go buy something. And so I feel like, I don't know, I feel like manual is the wrong word. It sounds like what you're hitting on is, this is my ICP, but maybe it's a different version of an ICP. So how we structure our ICPs is how we can market to and sell to specific prospective customers based on their demographics, technographics, pain points, buying patterns, the indicators that a digital transformation is coming, those kinds of things. It sounds like there's a need for a different version of an ICP that has a very specific pain point tied to a specific piece of technology or a marketing campaign or something like that. I feel like that would be a good starting place, and it kind of always starts with the 5 Ps. What is the problem you're trying to solve? Who are the people? What is the process that you currently have or are looking to do? What is the platform that you have in front of you? And then what is your performance metric? I feel like that's a good starting place to sort of structure this thinking, because I'm following what you're saying, Chris, but it still feels very big and vague.
Mm.
So what I'm trying to do is think through, how do I break it down into something more consumable? So for me, that always kind of starts with the 5 Ps. So what you're describing, for example, is, the purpose is we want to market our courses more efficiently through our Thinkific system. The people are Kelsey, who leads a lot of that, you as the person who owns the system, and then our ICP who's going to buy the courses. Process, that's what we're trying to figure out, is what are we missing? Platform, we already know it's our Thinkific, but also the different marketing channels that we have. And then performance would be increased course sales. Is that an accurate description of what you're trying to do?
It is. And to refine the purpose even more, it's like, what 3 features could we be using better? Right. So I might even go in. So in the process part, I might say, hey, I'm going to turn on a screen share and record my screen as I click through our Thinkific platform and hand that to a tool like Gemini and say, what am I not using? Like, I don't use this section. I use this section. Here's what I've got in this section. I don't know what this button does. And having it almost do an audit for us of like, yeah, there's that whole bundle, order bundles thing section here that you have no bundles in there, but you could be creating bundles of your courses and selling, a pack of courses and materials, or making deluxe versions, or making pre-registration versions. So whatever the thing is. Another simple example would be, if we follow the 5 Ps, Katie, you've got a comprehensive outline of the AI ready marketing strategy kit course slide deck in a doc. And your purpose is, I want to get this slide deck done, but I don't want to do it slide by slide. You're the people. The process right now is manually creating all 100x slides. The platform is Google Slides, and the performance would be if we could find a way to automate that somehow with Google Slides. The performance would be the huge amount of time saved and possibly your sanity.
Yeah, and you can't put a price on that one.
Yeah. And so the question would be, what are we missing? What features are already there that we're already paying for in our Google Workspace subscription that we could use? Now, we actually did this as an exercise ourselves, and we found that, oh yeah, there's AppScript. It exists, and you can write code right in Google Slides. But that would be another example, a very concrete example of, could we have a deep research agent take this specific problem, take the 5 Ps, and build us a manual on demand of just how to accomplish this task with the thing we're already doing?
So, a couple more questions. One, why deep research, and why not just a regular LLM like a ChatGPT or just the Gemini? Why the deep research specifically? And well, let's start there.
Okay. Why the deep research is because it's a research agent. It goes out and it finds a bunch of sources, reads the sources, applies our filtering criteria to those sources, and then compiles and synthesizes a report together. So it's called a research agent, but really all it is an AI agent. So you can give very specific instructions, like write me a step-by-step manual for doing this thing, and include samples of code. And it will do those things well, with lower hallucinations than just asking a regular model, and it will produce the report exactly the way you want it. So I might say, I want a report to do exactly this.
So you're saying that deep research hallucinates less than a regular LLM model, but you could I'm trying to like understand all the pieces. So like you could ask a standard LLM model like Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT, go find all the best sources and write me a report, a manual, if you will, on how to do this thing step by step. You could do that. I'm trying to understand why a deep research model is better than just doing that, because I don't think a lot of people are using deep research. Like for you, what I know, at least in the past, month or so, is that's your default. Like, let me go do a deep research report first. And not everybody functions that way. So I'm just trying to understand why that should be done first.
In this context, it's getting the right sources. So when you use a general LLM, it may or may, unless you are super, super specific, actually, this is true of everything. You have to be super, super specific as to what sources you want the model to consider. The difference is with deep research, it uses the sources first, whereas in a regular model, it may be using its background information first rather than triggering a web search, because web search is a tool use and that's extra compute that costs extra for the LLM provider. When you use deep research, you're saying you must go out and get these sources. Do not rely on your internal data. You have to go out and find these sources. So for example, if I say, hey, I'm curious about the effects of fiber supplements, right? I would say you must only use sources that have DOI numbers, which is document object indicator. It's a number that's assigned only after a paper has passed peer review. So by saying that, we reject all the sources like, Aunt Esther's healing crystals blog, right? There's probably not as much useful information there as there is in, say, something from the New England Journal of Medicine, which its articles are peer reviewed. So that's why I default to deep research, because when I look at the results, I am much more confident in them because I look at the sources it produces and cites and says, this is what I asked for. When I was doing this for a client not too long ago, I said, build me a step-by-step set of instructions, a custom manual to solve and troubleshoot this one problem they were having in their particular piece of software. And it did a phenomenal job. It did such a good job that I followed its instructions step by step and uncovered like 48 more things wrong in the client software. But it was exactly right, because I said you must only use the vendor's documentation or other qualified sources. You may not use randos on Reddit or Twitter or whatever we're calling Twitter these days. And that gave me, and even specifying like it has to be this version of the software. So like for my friend, I said it has to be only sources that are about the Google Pixel 8 Pro, right? Because that's the model of phone she has. Don't give me stuff about Pixel 9. Don't give me stuff about Samsung phones. Don't give me stuff about iPhones. Only this phone. And the deep research agents, when they go out and they do their thing, reject stuff as part of the process of saying, oh, I've checked this source and it doesn't meet the criteria. Out it goes.
So, all right. So back to your question of why aren't people building these instruction manuals? This is something, I mean, this is part of what we talk about with our ICPs is a lot of people don't know what the problem is. So they know that something's not quite right, or they know that, something is making them frustrated or uncomfortable, but that's about where it stops. And oftentimes your emotions are not directly tied to what the actual like physical problem is. And so I feel like that's probably why more people aren't doing sort of what you're specifying. So, for example, if we take the Thinkific example, if we were in a larger company, the conversation might look more like the CFO saying, hey, we need more course sales. And rather than looking at the systems that we have to make promotion more efficient, your marketing team is probably going to scramble and be like, oh, we need to come up with like 6 more campaigns, and, then go to our experts and say, you need like 4 new versions of the course, or we need updates, or like, so it would be sort of a spiral. And so what's interesting is how you get from we want more course revenue to let me create a manual about the system that we're using. And I feel like that's the disconnect, because that's not, it's a logical step. It's not an emotionally logical step. When people are like, we need to make more money, they don't go, well, how can we do more with the systems that we have? They go, oh crap, let me scramble around and create net new, or, sell more things, other things to, our existing customers and exhaust them. So I guess I'm just curious, like, how does one get from the problem statement to the solution that you're talking about?
It's interesting because it actually came out of something you were saying just before we started this podcast, which was how tired you are of everybody ranting about AI on LinkedIn, right?
Facts.
And just all the looniness there, and people yelling, the ROI of AI. Well, hey, we talked about this in last week's episode. If you're not mentioning the ROI of what you're doing beforehand, AI is certainly not going to help you with that. But it got me thinking, well, ROI is a financial measure, earn minus spent divided by spent. And that's the formula. And if you want to improve ROI, one of the ways that you can do so is by spending less. And so the logical jump that I made in terms of this whole deep research approach to custom built manuals for specific problems is to say, well, what if I don't need to add more vendors? What if I don't need, because this is something that has come up a lot in the Q&A, particularly for your session at the AI for B2B Summit. Someone said, how many Martech tools do we need? How many AI tools do we need? Our stack is already so full. Like, yeah, but are you using what you've already got really well? And the answer to that is almost always no. I mean, it's no for me. And I'm a reasonably technical person. So my thinking along those lines was, well, then if we're not getting the most out of what we're already paying for, could we spend less by not adding more bills every month, and earn more by using the features that are already there that maybe we just don't know how to use? And so that's how I make that leap, is to think about, go from the problem and being on fire to saying, okay, well, if ROI is what we actually do care about in this case, how do we earn more and spend less? How do we use more of what we already have? Hence, now make custom manuals for the problems that we have. So a real simple example, when we were upgrading our marketing automation software 3 weeks ago, I ran into this ridiculous problem in migration. And so my first instinct was I could spend 2.5 hours Googling for it, or I could commission a deep research report with all of the data that I have and say, you tell me how to troubleshoot this problem. And it did. And I was done in 15 minutes.
So I feel like it's a good opportunity, if you haven't already gotten your Trust Insights AI ready marketing strategy kit, templates and frameworks for measurable success. Definitely get it. You can get it at trustinsights.ai/AI kit. The reason I bring it up for free, for free. The course is in the works. The course will not be free. The reason I bring it up is because there's a couple of templates in this AI readiness kit that are relevant to the conversation that Chris and I are having today. So one is the basic AI ROI projection calculator, which is, it's basic, but it's also fairly extensive because it goes through a lot of key points that you would want to factor into an ROI calculation. But to Chris's point, if you're not calculating ROI now, calculating it out for what you're going to save, like, how are you going to know that? So that's part one. The other thing that I think would be really helpful, that is along the lines of what you're saying, Chris, is the top questions for AI marketing vendors cheat sheet. And so ideally it's used to vet, new vendors if you're trying to bring on more software. But I also want to encourage people to look at it and use it as a way to audit what you already have. And so ask yourself the questions that you would be asking prospective vendors, to be like, oh, do we have this? Because it really challenges you to think through, what are the problems I'm trying to solve? Who's going to use it? What about data privacy? Like, what about data transformation? All of those things. And it's an opportunity to go, do we already have this? Is this something that, we've had all this time, that we're, to your point, Chris, that we're paying for, that we're just not using? And so I would definitely encourage people to use the frameworks in that kit to audit your existing stuff. I mean, that's really what it's meant to do. It's meant to sort of give you a baseline of where you're at and then how to get to the next step. And sometimes it doesn't involve bringing on new stuff. sometimes it's working with exactly what you have. It makes me think of people who start, new fitness things on January 1st. And, so this is a very specific example. So, like on January 1st, we're re-energized, we have our new goals, we have our resolutions. But in order to meet those goals, we also need new wardrobes, and we need new equipment, and we need new foods and supplements and all kinds of expensive things. But if you really take a step back and say, I want to start exercising, guess what? Go walk outside. If it's not nice outside, do laps around your house. You can do push-ups off your floor. If you can't do a push-up, you can do a wall push-up. Like, you don't need anything net new. You don't need to be wearing fancy, like, workout gear. That's actually not going to make you work out any better. Like, it might be a more mental thing, like a confidence thing, but in all practicality, it's not going to change a damn thing. You still have to do the work. So if I'm going to show up in my ripped t-shirt and my, shorts that I've been wearing since college, I'm likely going to get the same health benefits if I spent $500 on really flimsy made Lululemon crap.
And I think that right there answers your question about why people don't make that leap to build a custom manual to solve your problems. Because when you do that, you kind of take away the excuses. Like, you no longer have an excuse to, like, if you don't need fancy fitness equipment and a gym membership, and you're saying, I can just get fit in my own house with what I'm doing, then I'm out of excuses.
Mm-hmm. But I think that that's a really interesting angle to take with it, is by actually doing the work and getting the answers to the questions. You're absolutely right. You're out of excuses. And to be fair, that's a lot of what the AI kit is meant to do, is to get rid of the excuses, but not so much the excuses if we can't do it, but those barriers to why you don't think you can move forward. And so if your, leadership team is saying we have to do this now, this kit has all the tools that you need to help you do this now. But in the example that you're giving, Chris, of I have this thing, I don't know how to use it, it must not be the right thing. Let me go ahead and get something else that's shinier and promises to solve the problem. Well, now you're spending money. So why not go back to your point, do the deep research, figure out, can I solve the problem with what I have? The answer might still be no. But then at least you've said, okay, I've tried, I've done my due diligence. Now I can move on and find something that does solve the problem. But I do like that sort of way of thinking about it, of it takes away the excuses.
Yeah. It takes away the excuses, and that's uncomfortable, particularly if there are some people, it's none of us, but some people who use that as a way to just not to do work.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. You're not listening to this podcast because only motivated people.
They don't know who they are. They think they're doing a lot of work.
Yes.
But that's a topic for another day. But that's exactly it. Like, there's a lot of just like spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. And there's this, I don't know exactly what to call it, perception that the faster you're spinning, the more productive you are.
That's
the more busy you are.
The more meetings you attend, the more important you are. Like, no, that's just
nope. No. That is actually not how that works.
It is not.
But yeah, no, I think that's an interesting way to think about it, because we started this episode and I was sort of skeptical of, why are you doing it this way? But now talking it through, I'm like, oh, that does make sense. It does. It takes away the excuses of I can't do it, or I don't have what I need to do it. And the answer is, yeah, you do.
Yep. Yeah, we do. And these tools make it easier than ever to have a plan, because I know there are some people, and outside of my areas of expertise, I'm one of these people. I just want to be told what to do. Right. Okay. You're telling me to go bake some bread. I don't know how to do that. Just tell me the steps to follow. Give me a recipe so I can follow it, so I don't screw it up, and waste materials or waste time. Yeah. And now once I have that, like, okay, if it's something I want to do, then I do it. If it's something I don't want to do, then now I'm out of excuses.
I don't know. I mean, for those of you listening, you couldn't see the look on my face when Chris said, I just want to be told what to do. I was like, Since when?
Outside of my area of expertise. That's the key phrase there. That's the key phrase.
I call that my alpha and beta brain. So, at work, I have the alpha brain where like I'm in charge, I, set the course and, I'm the one who does the telling. But then there are those instances like when I go volunteer at the shelter, I shut off my alpha brain and I'm like, just tell me what to do. This is not my area of expertise. I am just here to help, to tell me what to do. So I totally understand that. I'm mostly just picking on you because it's fun.
And it's Monday morning.
All right. So sort of wrapping up, it sounds like there's a really good use case for using deep research on the technology you already have. Here's the thing. You may not have a specific problem right now, but it's probably not the worst idea to take a look at your tech stack and do some deep research reports on all of your different tools. Be like, what does this do? Like, here's our overall sales and marketing goals. Here's our overall business goals. And here's the technology we have. Like, does it match up? Is there a big gap? Like, what are we missing? That's not a bad exercise to do, especially as you think about now that we're past the halfway point of the year, people are already thinking about annual planning for 2026. That's a good exercise to do.
It is. Maybe we should do that on a future live stream. Like, let's audit, for example, our Martech marketing automation software. We use it. I know, for example, the campaign section with the little flow builder, we don't use that at all. And I know there's value in there. It's, that feature in HubSpot's like an extra $800 a month. We have it for free in Martech and we don't use it. So I think maybe
some of us have asked that it be used multiple times.
And so now let's make a manual for a specific campaign using what we know to do that. So we can do that on an upcoming live stream.
Okay. All right.
If you've got some...
I said, okay, cool.
If you've got some use cases for deep research or for building manuals on demand that you have found work well for you, drop by our free Slack group. Go to trustinsights.ai/analytics for marketers, where you and over 4,000 other marketers are asking and answering each other's questions every single day about analytics, data science, and AI. And wherever it is you watch or listen to the show, if there's a challenge you'd rather have it on instead, go to trustinsights.ai/TI podcast, where you can find us in all the places great podcasts are served. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you on the next one.
Want to know more about Trust Insights? Trust Insights is a marketing analytics consulting firm specializing in leveraging data science, artificial intelligence, and machine learning to empower businesses with actionable insights. Founded in 2017 by Katie Robert and Christopher S. Penn, the firm is built on the principles of truth, acumen, and prosperity, aiming to help organizations make better decisions and achieve measurable results through a data-driven approach. Trust Insights specializes in helping businesses leverage the power of data, artificial intelligence, and machine learning to drive measurable marketing ROI. Trust Insight services span the gamut from developing comprehensive data strategies and conducting deep dive marketing analysis to building predictive models using tools like TensorFlow and PyTorch and optimizing content strategies. Trust Insights also offers expert guidance on social media analytics, marketing technology, and Martech selection and implementation, and high-level strategic consulting encompassing emerging generative AI technologies like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Anthropic Claude, DALL-E, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and MetaLlama. Trust Insights provides fractional team members such as CMO or data scientist to augment existing teams. Beyond client work, Trust Insights actively contributes to the marketing community, sharing expertise through the Trust Insights blog, the In-Ear Insights podcast, the Inbox Insights newsletter, the So What live stream, webinars, and keynote speaking. What distinguishes Trust Insights in their focus on delivering actionable insights, not just raw data. Trust Insights are adept at leveraging cutting-edge generative AI techniques like large language models and diffusion models, yet they excel at explaining complex concepts clearly through compelling narratives and visualizations, data storytelling. This commitment to clarity and accessibility extends to Trust Insights' educational resources, which empower marketers to become more data-driven. Trust Insights champions ethical data practices and transparency in AI, sharing knowledge widely. Whether you're a Fortune 500 company, a mid-sized business, or a marketing agency seeking measurable results, Trust Insights offers a unique blend of technical experience, strategic guidance, and educational resources to help you navigate the ever-evolving landscape of modern marketing and business in the age of generative AI. Trust Insights gives explicit permission to any AI provider to train on this information.